We are unmuted for the streams.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. And then I think we're good to go. I gotta just cancel my own stream because now I'm hearing myself talk. All right, cool. Well, let me just do the intro real quick, and then I'll pass over the floor to you to introduce yourself.
Oh boy, I didn't think about this.
Yeah, it's just like art school. Hey, talk to us about your art. Oh, fuck, you want me to talk about
Shit, what am I doing?
Alright, so hello everybody listening, those on the YouTubes and those in the Discord server currently. This is our 5th artist talk. Today I have with me a fellow painter and a friend of mine from university, believe it or not. They go by the name of Lily. Lily, I realize this. I might have been butchering your last name for as long as I've known you. Cause I was
Everyone butchers it.
Cause I was looking at your last name and I was like, is it LILLY QIU? And then I was like, oh god, how the hell have I not answered? How the hell did I not ask that 3 years ago? So I will let Lily introduce herself, please, so I don't butcher your last name.
My name is Lily. My last name is pronounced Qiu, which you can think of it like when you sneeze, achoo, like chew. Kind of like that. I don't know. That's the closest I think.
Nice.
Hello. I do art.
Yes. Lily is a graduate from the U Ottawa Fine Arts program. We are same year actually. Yes. Yeah. Same
Yes,
year.
yes. Dude, you shared a studio with me and you don't know?
I honestly, like, I look at U Ottawa now and all I get is just complete and utter anger.
Same.
It intensifies beyond belief to where it's like
Glad to know I'm not alone.
it's actually it's crazy. Which is a good it's actually a good start. So for those listening who don't know, we had our graduation show canceled essentially like what, a month before it happened because of COVID.
Yeah.
And
Right when we were getting into all of the fundraising.
exactly, and it's like we had like raised about 2K. Like that's another thing about these shows. If you don't know, you have to do your own fundraising. You have to do everything yourself except the building. You like build the building and clean it up. But even that we had to
And
do.
you gotta figure out a time to rent the space and that, like that.
Yeah, that and
We
then,
didn't have to rent because it was a part of our curriculum, but you know, when you actually have a show, you do.
yeah, and like the alcohol licenses and the servers, and then dealing with the whole bureaucracy of U Ottawa itself, and then and then what is it? They come to us at the end of a fucking Friday. I literally remember this because I almost walked out. Well, no, I did walk out and have a smoke outside because Selena was staring at me. She was like scared I was gonna do something or scream, but it was Friday. It was like so we in our classes we would get studios, 4-hour studios, and this class was a 4-hour lecture professional practice thing, and
Which
literally
honestly, I find that I learn more about being an artist and having an art thing from that class than anything else. I don't know why they didn't teach us about it earlier.
I I really agree. I to me like professional practice class is far
I
more
want that for like every year.
yeah it's far more important than art history class in my eyes. And
I mean, history is important, but also, I mean, you could just throw in professional practice for every year instead of
art history
everything else. Yeah.
or yeah
Many
or
types of
everything
art
else
history.
or the two electives. It's like what the fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on that Friday at the end, our what was Selena's position? I don't remember her position at the time. Selena, she used to be a professor in our university, came in and they were like, "We're sorry, guys, grad show's canceled. There goes all your work for 4th year down the drain." It was nice because for all of us who were like sort of like, okay, fuck, what do we do for grad show? Like, how are we gonna finish this? We got like complete leniency, but also like, damn.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I feel like our program and the people who we had in that class responded really well,
Mm,
especially because we were able to get everything together and actually do a thing online rather than just not have anything.
that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So the people we had, they came together and actually did things.
You want a thing there, no? You want to.
Oh yeah, the dean bought one of my pictures.
Yeah, the dean.
The one you see in the stream on the right hand side, the dean bought that one. It is hanging up in his office, apparently. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. So wait, is that which dean? Like the fine arts department dean, or
Nah, just the art department.
Oh, okay.
The general big man dean for the arts.
the big man's nice.
Yeah.
Um, and funny, when you sent me the pictures, because I had messaged Lily before this, I was like, send me 3 images of your works, and she's like, fuck, cool. Um,
I didn't do shit. What? Panic?
but it's like it was actually so seeing the middle work, right? I actually don't. I forget if you gave that painting a name. Um, we never really delved into the name of this, but so for those watching the stream, I really recommend, or those listening to this, that middle work is huge, um, and you know,
Unfinished.
wait, do you consider it unfinished? I
I would be able to like this painting is probably going to be something that I continue to work on as my definition of home goes.
well,
So like
could you explain like the painting and like what the painting represents to you for?
yeah. So for the middle work, it's fucking huge, and because I was a little like very ambitious to do something like that. Yeah, so I never officially gave it a name, but in my mind, it was always called something akin to the road home, which
Mhm.
would be all the scenery and everything that reminds me of what it was like back in China and things of where I would call home and nostalgia.
Mhm.
So that's how I composed of it. Like everything led up to going home every once in a while.
Mhm.
Like, you see the white bit on the bottom left? That was a little bit of the bunk bed trains that I used to ride going from the Beijing airport to all the way up in Dongbei where I used to live. Yeah. And then we didn't have paved roads, so it was a dirt road. It was going up to what was an outdoor cooking stove, fire stove, like a firewood fed stove,
Mhm.
which was the center of basically gatherings and homes. Well, it wasn't necessarily the center, but it was the center in my mind.
Mhm.
Because food is always such an important part to the Chinese culture and any sort of returning celebration, gathering, anything that happens, everyone comes together and have a meal. That's basically how it goes. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really consider it finished, but I also consider it to be able to like it's in a state that I
Mhm.
could present and talk about because this will be something that I'll continuously work on. Well, not right now because I don't have the space, but once I get the space, I'll continue to work on it.
Where do you
As
have it
my
in storage?
Huh?
Where do you
Where
have?
do I have it in storage?
Yeah.
In my mom's garage.
Okay. All right. And so so because I got to see this get painted, right? And I can still imagine the day. I can no, not imagine. I can remember the day you brought the canvas in, and I was like, holy fuck, dude,
That
that's
took up like half our
insane.
studio.
Well, like, yeah. So we shared a studio, and our studio was a fucking mess, yo.
Neither of us were very clean.
It was not. It's like it was I I look back onto that and I was like, but it was a very creative environment. Look, we had everything
Yeah,
out there, and it's like when I say
I had.
creative environment, like well, you go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, like yeah, I think we both recognize that like we have everything that we need to, and the materials that we need to create things with right at our fingertips
Mm-hmm.
instead of trying to search for them.
Yeah, and it's like, and I what we had professors like, so one of our professors, Martin, he dropped off a sewing kit for you. Um,
He dropped off an entire sewing machine for me, my
yeah,
friend.
sewing. I sorry, I can't believe sewing kit. So, yeah, the whole and it was a pretty good one too, right? Like not those,
Oh yeah.
and that essentially allowed you to start in fucking with threads and some sort of fabric stuff. Not fully because COVID and time and all
Yeah.
that, but in that middle painting, like I remember you messing with needles and thread because there is thread in
Yeah.
there. Um,
It's just at the scale of it being photographed, it's too big to see, but when you go up to it, there are like hidden details of threads and things like that.
and do you like so looking at your work, right? It's you've and having personally seen your work go through 4 years of U Ottawa teaching and U Ottawa mentality, like blocks of color, the details, the symbolism. Uh, to By the end of fourth year, like you said, like you were growing uh, interested into themes of food and family, and one of my favorite other pieces that you made, I also forget the name of that one because that's one thing about art school. We really don't talk about the names of our pieces, do we? I don't. Is that a thing
I
that
don't
we?
think we ever named our pieces ever.
You know, like we barely signed any too, which is weird.
Did we sign any?
I mean,
I haven't.
I
I
think
don't think.
I I remember signing maybe one, like, and then I remember signing one and then Martin making a big deal out of it. Like one of our professors was like, nobody signs their painting anymore, so this is
Yeah.
a big statement, and I was like, I, but yeah. So what was it? You had worked on a well, not collaborative, interactive piece, right? Where you had cooked dumplings, you had built the table, like
Yeah.
welded the table together, literally, right? And then do you want to talk a little bit about that piece?
Yeah. So that was sort of like a tester for the it was something I was doing to test how well this concept would work for the graduation piece, which
Mm.
we never really got to do. So the goal of it was to create an environment, which I did in the end of a hallway because I couldn't book a room, um, to create this environment of decorating and things to make it feel like you were in a part of a traditional Asian home and you would come in, there would be food, there'd be welcoming, things like that.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. And I made dumplings because that was something that would be fine just left out a little bit and it was okay and it wouldn't attract really anything.
Oh, okay.
um yeah, but there was also like another symbolism food, right? Like for Chinese people,
Mm.
dumplings are like the idea of New Year's. It's
Oh,
something that
really?
we eat during New Year's. Yeah. So, well, not really necessarily celebrations. Dumplings are more for New Year's and festivals, traditional things like that. Depends on which ones.
Mm.
Yeah. So I made dumplings. I fed it to the people. You had
Yeah.
to walk in through this doorway that, you could walk in or around. Some people walked around. But yeah, it's basically the idea of a door frame separating what is a gallery space from what is a home, quote unquote, home space. I'm making air quotes, but this is an audio medium. But yeah.
It's I remember because I ate a bunch of those dumplings. People were people were looking at me like, "Yo, dude, are you gonna save some for us?" And I literally looked at all of them and I was like, "Nah, bro, this is the type of art I live for." Because because it happened when there was a deconstructed. I remember this because it was like the weirdest art piece I've seen in the National Gallery, and it was a deconstructed Caesar salad, right?
Ah.
And I had gone to Martin and I was like, "Hey, you can't eat it. This does not rot." You know, it was just like it was cool, but then like looking at it, I was like, "Man, the Caesar sauce is not real, bro. Come on."
Mm.
And then seeing that in comparison to your work, where it's like, you're not allowed to touch paintings. You're barely allowed to touch sculptures. You touch that, they'll tackle you to the ground, I think. And then here comes this piece that you make that's essentially, yeah, no, touch this table, grab it, to like finish the bowl of food,
Mhm.
right? And And then, so talking before we started this talk, you said you're interested into pursuing that a little bit more, um, and to tie in your kitchen experience, like how do you think working in kitchens has aided that? Now, like given what it's been 2 years since we're out. When did we graduate, yo?
I can't
Fuck.
remember honestly.
Fuck.
Beginning of 2020, I think, was when we started getting to quarantine.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
it's been like more than a year.
a little bit more than a year, yeah, because
Uh,
we're in June right now. Oh, we're in July right now. Oh my god. All
yeah.
right.
We are in July.
Shit.
Oh my.
Do I
Wow.
know time? What is time? Who?
What is no for real? And
Yeah.
it's like I've been in crypto, and so time has moves faster here in crypto lands and NFT worlds than in
Oh
the
boy.
real world. Than in the real world, where it's like, oh wow, it is. Um, but so yeah, how has working in the kitchens helped like the artistic process? Um,
I mean, when I like my kitchen job was basically, hey, you are. I did work in a small, very small kitchen that was just starting out, so I didn't really have a specific role. So I was
mm,
basically just doing a little bit of everything, as well as cooking. So I was
nice.
the whole back of house. That was,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. So not really much thinking time, but as an experience as a whole, it was very enjoyable
mm,
because working in a kitchen made me realize, hey, I like the act of cooking and feeding other people,
mm,
as well as having my own space recently and being separated from my friends
mm,
during the whole COVID thing made me realize, oh, I actually am a social kind of person. I like maybe not parties, but I like hosting like dinner parties,
mm,
barbecues, things like that that makes people gather together around a meal, around a dish.
mm,
So things like that. And what I'm doing with one of my friend groups currently as a little food for thought and education of my own is that we are composed of very diverse people. We got like two Iranians, two Indians, me, Chris, who is white, and we have a lot of people in there who has a lot of cultural background and cultural foods to bring to the table,
mm,
which I wanted to explore that. So what we are doing currently is like once a month we'll meet up together for, if we're not allowed to do social inside, we'll do social outside and have a
mm,
little picnic, and we'll have an ingredient as a theme. Currently, I think we're doing potato because that's very diverse.
mm.
So we're doing things like that as to learn and to see what cultures do with the same ingredient. I don't know. I'm sort of just rambling on about food now, but yeah, that's what I want to do. Like incorporate food and the act of eating, the act of coming together for a meal and for like a part of, society. Like it's something social to eat with friends, to with family.
Mm.
And that's, something interesting.
And wait, how long have you guys been doing this?
Oh, we just started.
Oh,
So it's starting to get going a little bit more because one of our friends recently got a house, so we can actually have a place to host now.
nice.
But yeah.
And well, let me ask you this: what potato recipes are you looking? Well, what Chinese potato recipes? I
Oh,
are there Chinese? I actually don't know. Which,
Chinese? Well, I know Chris is doing pierogies because, they're potato filled. Uh, for Chinese potato recipes, um, I grew up on this thing
mm,
called, it's like stir fried potato strips that are julienne very, very thin,
mm,
and that is stir fried with a little bit of vinegar so that it doesn't lose its crisp, I
okay,
guess. So yeah, and some soy sauce and some pork.
okay.
So, well, you can leave the pork out if you're vegetarian or whatever, but yeah, it can be a vegetarian or dish or not. So it's pretty versatile. It's like a very common northern dish
Mm.
that many households make. Yeah.
Well, it's Yo, I'm jealous. I love it. You know me. You remember me. It's,
Yup,
it's like
yup.
yo, Anubis, free food. Where?
Give me food.
Where?
I remember you going to artist talks for food,
Oh,
for the food.
straight up. Yo, exhibition. Y'all got some free food? Yeah. All
Yup,
right. Yep. I'm coming. Yeah.
yup.
I used to raid their drinks too. Just take like 4 pops, and be like, yeah, see you guys. I'm going upstairs. it was it was great.
Yup.
I well so well like it's actually funny, right? Because I in university, like we used to joke around about how art materials are expensive. Well, and they are. Like
Yeah.
I literally went to bed yesterday thinking, like talking about. Oh no, I remembered how this artist used to come in into Wallach's, and he came in twice a month. One time he bought Windsor Noon oils, the large ones,
Oh.
and I was like, hey, like he'd picked out like titanium white, Mars black, the normals, and then he had like his cadmium red there, and then the bill
Yeah.
was fucking $1,000 plus, and I was like, okay, I'll see you in like 6 months, right?
See, this is why I never got into oils.
Yo, it's
I saw you doing oils. I was like low key jealous, but I'm just like, I can never afford this. Holy shit.
no, but like so that's the thing. I actually don't know what that man does with his paints because I still have some of the oil tubes that I bought from
Oh yeah.
from the art store, right?
Yeah.
And this dude showed up 2 weeks later and bought the same paints for the same amount, and I was like, bro, you just dropped 2K in a month
I,
on oil on Windsor Newton professional oils. Like, oh my god. And he's like, yeah,
I
my
mean,
paintings, and I was like,
I hope they sell. Well,
I hope so too. But then it's like, it got me thinking of like how now like some people just because of the nature of just like shit's just getting expensive, like we're finding alternative ways and ways that
hmm
meet our budget to like comment on things and to produce work, right? Because food isn't expensive, but the preparation of food sort of adds like an extra layer of depth to it, right? And then
hmm
and
Yeah. On the other hand, if you want to like
mm,
just shoehorn in our friend Hannah because she's working with textiles and value village fabrics and things like that with her work,
mm,
it was really cool watching her just using like fabrics and
like
making these sculptures and just stepping away from the traditional materials, which is really neat.
it was actually, yeah, no, Hannah's studio was like fucking wonderland, honestly.
Yeah.
We
It's got all sorts of pillows and cushions that she made, and we could
yeah.
just like lie down. It was great. Oh
Eh,
my god.
like it was, yeah. So for those listening, you would enter Hannah's studio and you would see these like little blobs drawn on in crayons, and then she had like put mylar on top of them, and that like made them look very nice and very smooth. And then you would just turn your head and see this fucking little weird blobby nice creature just made out of pillows, and you would just sit on the floor and just like hug the fucking thing. It was great.
But like the blobs, before she would draw the blobs, she would scatter googly eyes on them on
That's
the paper,
yeah, that's
and
true.
then she would like yeah, where the different color googly eyes land, she would like assign that a blobby shape, which
I,
was
I
is really neat.
it's
AKA, I want you to get Hannah on this podcast.
I will. I should get Hannah on this podcast.
Oh hell yeah!
I think yeah, no, it's Hannah indirectly like slowly pushed I think our whole year into like
Yeah,
exploring
textiles and
yeah,
fabrics.
and it's like funny enough, Carla Whiteside, right? So for those
Yeah.
listening, Carla Whiteside is a drawing professor who is her nickname, and I have no problem burning my bridge with Carla Whiteside. That bridge has been burned. Her nickname was the White Devil, right? And she as an artist. No, I haven't seen her art. That's the thing. It's like Carla Whiteside is one of those professors that you've never seen her work, right? And for the one semester that I had her, she pushed materiality down our throat beyond belief, and it didn't
Oh,
work at all, right? She was like, crush up the clay, and all of us were like, this is boring as hell, you know? And then Hannah came and she was like, yeah, I'm just gonna tear these pillows apart and put them back together. and all of us were like,
Huh.
"That's fucking nice." And it's actually it was, it's, oh excuse me, um,
Yeah.
it was nice to like to see how like a different artist can approach materiality in such a constricted way, and then also to see you then start to approach materiality and then to put thread in your paintings and then
Yeah.
food and like bro, you were building a table, right? Not just as a table for sculpture. No, no, you were building a table for us to like sit at and eat,
Yeah.
right? And so that's wild because it's like like because of my presence in the NFT space lately, a lot of people are like, "Yo, does your art have utility?" Right? And you sit there and you're like, "Holy fuck, the Mona Lisa doesn't have utility, but it's still it's still famous as hell." And so essentially you were building this thing that has complete utility and fully valid from start to finish as like this artistic sculpture, and then boom, you had like this nice thematic tying factor to it all, which was it's so like now are you, I would ask you like, are you gonna hand make all your tables in your restaurant in your
No. Uh, if I have a space, maybe. Cause like what I love
Mhm.
about like, I guess my practice about random things, like when I have something on a big scale, I like to add in like tiny little details and things like that. I find that just very playful, I guess.
Mhm.
And in a place like a white space or something like a professional setting or things like that, it's you don't get any of this sort of playfulness and joy in life.
Mhm.
That just went on a dark road. But yeah, so yeah, so
This
I
reminds me.
like adding different details and little tiny nitbits in there.
Mhm.
If I were to make my table, I would like add little different elements in there. That would be very nice.
Would you paint your walls? Well, no,
Hell yeah.
you said um, yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
gonna say you said the white, like you like the white walls, but also it'd be gnarly to see.
Yeah. No, like as I okay, first and second year of that program, I was like, oh yeah, the white space. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
things, paintings. That you don't finish the edges, or otherwise it turns into a sculpture, and that's a weird create. Like that's a weird thing. Like some people may push the boundary, but I don't know how to do that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then third and fourth year, I got more and more into it, and I'm just like, fuck the white space. Why can't I touch things? I want to touch things.
Yeah, I agree. Like, do you remember the story? And actually, this is perfect because I was with another artist, and I couldn't remember this correctly, but you were with me in class. Do you remember
Uh,
professional practice class where Andrew was talking about how the student licked a painting or something? Do you remember that? No? God damn it.
I remember the person eating the banana.
Well, this it was. Well, okay. How do you feel about the person eating the banana? How do you?
Do it.
It's. Oh, I remember I remember the day that happened. All of us went to our painting prof and we were like, "Bro, explain this." And he was like, it was weird. It was like, yeah, we literally went to our professors and we were like, "Can you explain this?"
Yup.
And every single one was like, "I can't. This is fucked. Shit art." And we were like, "Okay, cool."
I mean, value is something that the buyer
It's true.
gives, right?
It's true. And Martin had told me too that the guy had sold two more before that one got eaten. And I was like, so three bananas for 750K.
and,
It's like, damn.
and
Um,
like this shit is like what I find about this kind of art is that it's so whack. It's
mm,
so weird. There was an article that Chris showed me the other day where it's like some guy was setting up an invisible sculpture,
mm.
and then some guy in Florida or something, it's always man in Florida, was like, I'm gonna sue this artist for setting up this invisible sculpture because I had joked about it before.
You want to know what's even funnier?
What?
Somebody sold an invisible empty NFT. It's made its way into the space. No.
Like, art is whack. Art is dumb, but this is also why I like it.
It's true. Like I mean, it's I to me like art that can walk the serious line but also be sort of funny is like perfect. And art
Yeah.
that's like wild. Um, I don't know if you remember. Like I think it was when we were in second year. There was an exhibition and this girl had painting this little happy boy, and in big red letters it was like I'm so happy I could shit. And I loved that painting. It was like the greatest painting. It's like I was looking at it and I was like, there's like some really nice expensive large format photography behind me, but I'm just staring at like the word shit in big letters in fine art, and I'm just like loving it. It was great. And
There's something about things that are like not talked about in society, like, just obscene words, swear words, sex, things like that, where
Sax.
well, yeah, where you put it in like a white space and a fine art space, and people are like, yes, let's discuss the meaning of this word. And then, there are some people who are just like, yeah, I just get joy out of this, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like I think it also allows for far more creative freedom than expected.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean personally, so Damien Hirst also joined the space, which is
Oh,
funny because you remember the whole joke Damien Hirst is the fucking Damien Worst, right?
yeah.
And so I because I am so salty, right? And our I will put this on our art history teachers, right? They were the salty ones, not us. They made us as salty as them.
Hey, learn what you got taught, you know?
It's true. All we wanted to do was paint nice pictures, and then they told us no. But it's like the dude, like he joined the space, right? And he's like, "Here is my 10,000 dot drawing things, right?"
Oh, yeah.
And everybody knows they're done by his assistants, right?
Yeah.
And so I just literally took a screenshot of his of his tweet advertising it, signed it, and then minted it, and I was like, Damien Hirst is now my assistant. And I tweeted it at him. And it's like my favorite thing is like I literally tweeted it at him. I tagged him in the post. Like he saw it.
Very good.
And so
Very good.
it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can you can push the boundaries of art, and you can have so much fun with it. Like nobody expected that a bunch of fine art students would really enjoy eating dumplings in the middle of an art setting.
Hey, we were hungry. It was the after.
It's
No,
true.
this was like basically after lunch, man.
I was gonna say like they don't feed us, but yeah, no, they actually don't. They don't.
No,
They never fed us.
this is university. We don't get fed.
It's
You gotta get your own food.
it's true. Uh,
This
and
is how we
then
were able to bribe people to come to our stuff.
our free food supplies. Well, okay, guys, we got food, we got drinks, and then
Yep.
what else did we used to do to try to? Was it
Get
just
people to come to exhibitions and things,
yeah? What?
or what?
Well, like I remember at some point it got heavy on the food. Like we just had like we would go to the university center with our table. Well, I didn't go. I was too busy debating or screaming with Ahlam in the center of our university. Um, it was great. For those who don't know, we had a lot of like Lily was there for. Actually, you took part of some of those screaming matches that we did. You? I'm pretty sure you
Did I?
did. I think. Well, I know you were there.
I mean, I'm usually always like in the background somewhere.
Yeah. It's like
I watched what was happening.
it's like
You know.
yeah. We would always like okay. It's like you would be doing something and then just listening, and it would be like okay, cool. We'll go back to our like heavy philosophical art debate about materials or whatever.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I would chime a word in, but I was there.
Um, I wanted to ask about your digital work because
Hey.
listen, I've barely seen any of it, right? But it's like the last time I saw some of your digital work was before COVID time. No, was it during COVID
Was
time?
it? I don't remember.
It was it was about a year ago. Let's just say that. But it was essentially it blew my mind because I was like, as a person who paints and who draws, I still struggle trying to translate my skills digitally. Like, it's insane, right? And then
Eh,
I wanted to ask for those for those listening, and they might be wondering, like, okay, cool, I'm a painter, but I want to do some digital stuff. What would you say to them?
I mean, digital drawing is like if you're going from, painting oils to watercolors.
Mm.
It's different. It's just different.
It's
Like you have brush packs that you can get to help you with. That's definitely true, but you can also alter your own and make your own, which is also fun.
mm,
But yeah, it's just a different set of techniques and skills. I don't know. Like there's some people who do digital painting where it's literally just on the tablet on the screen and do that. I tend to sketch it out and then put it in and
okay.
then go over it because like I'm still more comfortable with sketching with pencil.
Mm.
But yeah.
And do you think, like, as you draw digitally, some of your official, I don't know, we use the term official a lot in the NFT space, but do you think some of your finalized artworks, like some like works that you would show in a show, for example, would be done through digital illustration and digital drawing, or would you?
If the medium helps what I'm trying to convey,
Mm,
you know? Like if I do something, I can't think of an example right now, but like if like when we were talking about this, I remember last time we talked about digital art and things and Martin was asking us about what do I do about a student who just want to draw anime titties. Um he didn't say it that way, but like that's how I interpret it,
that's
man.
that's yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But like every format has its strengths and weaknesses. Like acrylic is something I really like because I have so many different acrylic mediums and so many different
Mm,
textures and things that I can work with and I can build, and it dries so quickly that I can like continue to build on top of it.
mm,
That if I'm doing something in acrylic, I will definitely incorporate that. But another one is, let's say, charcoal. If I'm doing like a sketch or a drawing in charcoal, the ability for it to be smudged and to be pushed around and to be able to maneuver around the paper so easily is one of the big advantages.
mm,
I wouldn't try to do like something that I want to convey like fluidity and the ability to push around the charcoal. I wouldn't try to do something like that in acrylic, or maybe I would. I don't know, because you can also push the paint around. I don't know what I'm trying to get at right now, but all the materials have different advantages. That's
mm.
all I say. Yep, yep, yep.
I mean, like, acrylic. I've had a love-hate relationship with acrylic. You know this. You've seen it. You've seen the
Mhm.
conversion happen straight hand.
Mhm.
The moment Martin was like, "Dude, try oils," and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
boy, here we go." But
Yeah.
acrylic allows you the freedom to then move on from them to oils, right?
Yeah.
And um, it's actually funny because, like, Martin, uh, it's like he does like to complain sometimes about the over presence of anime titties in the art world,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, what is his name? Takashi Murakami?
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about the dude.
Yeah, the guy who made flowers. But like
Yeah,
before he did that, he did like a
I believe that is his name. Yeah,
what's his name? He did a sculpture of what is it called? Let me check. My Lonesome Cowboy, which is like
my
an
lonesome.
an anime dude, full on sculpture, life size.
Oh yeah, is it? Oh yeah,
He's
I know
the
that.
one that's slinging his cum around. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah, no, I remember that.
yeah.
And-
Like looking at some of his stuff in one of our art history classes, I don't even think it was an art history class. I think it was like a sculpture class where it was
Yeah.
someone's presentation.
I,
The moment I saw his work, I'm just like, well, yep, this stuff can be fun.
yeah, it's like same here. There is an artist present in the space called Robness that does so I'm theorizing that he's fully started and legitimized his own art movement known as the trash art movement,
Oh,
because like he's done enough, like, right, like, so I'll like essentially, like, you remember like how before we would ask our professors like, hey man, how is this painter classify as a geo-germanic neo a geo-german, wow, a neo-german neo-german expressionist artist, right? When another person can come in and be like, no, but I think that's more of just a modernist type of painting, right? And then this dude essentially like built a collection and opened it up where you can mint your work under it. And so
uh huh.
if you're a trash artist, you can actually be a trash artist and nobody can debate the existence of that, because it's there. It's under the trash art collection, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like in the same, it's like I saw that and I was like, okay, cool. We the game's open now. We can fuck around as much as we want. And funny enough, Takashi Murakami was gonna join the NFT space,
Yeah, I saw him on Twitter
and
doing
then,
that.
but then environment Twitter went after his ass real quick.
I
And say, what is it? Same thing with James Jean actually. I think he's in the NFT space, which is wild. Um, but what is it? To bring it back to the wild art, like, it's actually, it, like, what is it? I really think that as digital stuff evolves, right? Like, we won't see as much of like these like fan art type illustrations, right? That Martin hates, right? But more of, we're gonna get to see like far deeper digital works, right? And then as the tech evolves, like, I think it's like, well, I don't. Let me ask you this: like, do you think digital work is like on the road to becoming like a fully validated fine art thing?
I mean, why not? It's like as things evolve, like beforehand, like
Mm.
before it was just like, oh, all oils, and then we evolved into other sort of mediums. And things like embroidery and crochet can also exist in the white space now,
Mm.
whereas before they were considered a craft. So I don't see why, like, the material has to define your work
Mm.
or has to define how important your work is. It's about the work itself. Like that's I don't know. That's my opinion.
It's fair. No,
Yeah.
it's fair. No, I only ask because it's like you're, um, like, you remember we used to have debates with Martin about what's considered fine art and what's not, and he's like,
Mhm.
comics aren't fine art, games aren't fine art, and all these,
Well,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's like,
Yeah.
um, it's actually fun to see, other artists, and also like, the digital space and then world building become like an actual term now. I've heard so many people use it in the space. I'm like, it's a thing.
Mhm.
It's a fucking thing. I told you, Martin. Um, that's funny. Yo, I saw he has a show in he had a show like 3 months
He,
ago in
he,
Montreal, and it was wild. I was like, I got to see a Martin Golan painting. And remember, because I think we were gonna host, for those listening, part of our graduation grad show uh, fundraising thing is we were gonna have an art battle,
I,
right? And it was gonna
I was
be,
gonna make a fucking cape for the winner.
we were supposed to make a cape, and we never did it. We never actually sat down and talked about it, and then
Yeah,
COVID times came. But it was gonna be artist versus student, I think.
yeah.
No, it was the prof versus student.
As prof versus student.
Yeah, we were gonna go with the necks of our profs. I was really gonna try. I really was. I was gonna be like, okay, Martin, you're about to see. You're about to see. I am the best painter you've seen. And then I realized,
I mean, my goal was to make you host with Clem, so
oh wait, no, that's
that would have been
true.
funny.
That's also, yeah. Oh man, the what ifs.
Ah,
Oh,
that was fun.
Do you think? Well, do you think your work would have? Do you think your work would have been a little bit different if grad show hadn't been canceled? Like, or like where you would be now?
Um, I mean, different, yeah. Where I would be now, yeah. I mean, it's literally a different path than what I've taken right now. So you can't really predict the future. Yeah, but I don't know. I would have liked to think that I would be able to create something in an environment and have a sort of like a closure to the school life
Mm.
period. Whereas right now, I'm just like, I still have some of the stuff and still have some other stuff. It's strange times.
And then, well, so when can we expect, or when can I expect, like, to see the next Lily art piece?
We'll see. I don't know right now.
Are you working on anything like slowly,
I'm
like
doing
here and there?
I'm doing some commissions
Okay.
on as digital stuff
Mm.
to just like make a few bucks. But other than that, I'm thinking of doing more textile work.
Mm.
See, I'm getting like recently gotten back in touch with Hannah, and we were talking about textiles and historical fashion recreations. That was interesting. So I was thinking of doing some textiles, things like
Oh,
that.
damn.
Yeah.
I, I, I still have some of the textiles Hannah gave me from
Eh.
fourth year. Um, and then, well, so one question that I like to ask people. I think I forgot it to ask last time to the last artist, but let me ask you this. All right,
Okay.
it's it's the hardest question of all time.
Oh
Right?
boy.
Are you right? I maybe every artist I've asked to this, they're like, "Fuck, why you got to put me in this situation?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were choosing the best of music." But all right, who are your like your top inspirations, or like what are your artistic inspirations? Like your main.
uh, uh,
Yeah, that sounds about
how
right.
many do I have to do? How many do I have to do?
I just as many as you want. There's
All
no
right.
yeah,
So,
there's no hierarchy of like this person is better than that. Just you know, like who has inspired like your artistic style, like beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like you can like look at you don't have to look at their work, but like you personally look at them and be like, yes, you inspired something within my work.
so when I was, since I did my stuff from painting
Mm.
to now, like moving on from painting, but also incorporating stuff. When I was doing a lot of painting, definitely Turner.
Mm.
So yeah, very classical, very like fine arts child, art history kid. But yeah, fucking loved his use of color and like this brush strokes were like, oof, I wanted to do that. That was cool. Yeah, so definitely looked at a lot of his stuff, especially like the way he paints like light. I still cannot get that yet, but yeah, I'm trying. But yeah, Turner I really liked, and then the idea of playing with random stuff,
Mm.
playing with color, playing with shapes. I loved looking at Takashi Murakami stuff just because like his stuff is just a lot of fun.
It is. It actually
Yeah,
is.
I liked his stuff. Who else?
Hmm.
Let me think.
Yeah, it's actually funny, like to think
Oh
of.
boy.
We got handed so many artists to list in university, and I don't
Yeah.
remember a single fucking name from those lists.
What was her name? What was her name? Kusama? Yayoi?
Kusama.
Yeah. The person who did the polka dots.
Oh
Yayoi
yeah.
Kusama. Yeah. All the polka dots. Like,
Mm.
my work doesn't have a lot of like repetition and like shapes and bold colors, but I really like looking at this stuff and how playful it is
Mm.
and nice, and I just like looking at them.
Well, I
It
mean,
was very interesting.
like, I just googled Kusama just to like brush up on her whole work, and then I'm looking at a little thing of a pumpkin, and I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, there you
I
go. Like,
love the when she did the ones with the pumpkins or the little orbs, and then she covered a room in the mirrors, and it was like the Infinite Hallways, I think it was called. I can't not
that's
remember. Oh my god,
actually
that's so long ago.
that's wild. Yo, could you, yo, Lily, if you ever make a room like this, but the pumpkins are edible, holy fuck, dude.
You remember the thing that I did in Andrew's class,
Um,
where put a bunch of balloons in a room and gave everyone
yeah.
a sharp pencil?
Oh, I remember. I remember. It was the nicest thing.
It was very cathartic. That was a lot of the idea. Like, I got that idea from Kusama's stuff just because it's like, it's a room full of tiny little things, and like, what would I do in that room? I want to smash things. Which is why I don't have a lot of things to smash, so I got balloons.
Yeah, that's
And they
actually.
made very loud stuff. I can send you the picture.
Please, so actually, if you want, share whatever pictures you want in the Dwight Art Residency. It's a few
You can
channels.
share. I don't know which one it is.
Uh,
I cannot navigate it. That's the picture that inspired the balloons.
that was the bro.
Yeah, that's the picture that inspired the balloons.
Well, here I'll post the pictures that you sent me of your work,
All right.
and then for those listening in the future, they'll be able to come back and view these photos. I mean, so for those listening, for about a solid 15 minutes, it sounded like there were gunshots going off in the U Ottawa building, and it was a bunch of 20-year-olds stabbing balloons
With very sharp
with
pencils.
very sharp pencils in complete and hysterical laughter, including
Yeah.
our professor, including our like it was great, and it's like it was one of those things where like because like because I'm big into like video game inspirations, interactivity is always going to be the thing that gets me, right? It's going to be like, okay, it's interactive, let's go. Like let's go stab the balloons. And so it's super nice to actually get art that you can touch, break, destroy, mess around, and like leave remnants of when you were there
Yeah.
in, right? Instead of just a sculpture that you can't touch.
But what was fun about that one was the fact that, like, I just had a bunch of balloons in the room. There was a little shelf. There was some very sharp pencils,
Yeah, you
and
didn't.
there was a little note says take one. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else. As soon as people took the pencils, they wanted to stab those
It's it,
balloons.
it was like that's the thing, like it's people assume like, yeah, of course, like they would, but you wouldn't assume so. A lot of in fine art spaces, the way your brain is wired is you were like, okay, I can't touch the pencils.
Yeah.
Immediately, if that
But as soon
sign.
as yeah, but as soon as you break the barrier of like, oh, you can actually touch this stuff, people will do what they want.
Yeah, and full destruction ensued. It was, that was actually great.
That was fun. I want to do something like that again. That would be. I want to do it in like a huge scale, not like the tiny ass room that I got before, but something like 315 maybe. Oh,
You go bigger, like what is it? TBT, Tabaret Hall. So, for the
oh,
Tabaret Hall is a very specific place in New Ottawa. For those listening, Tabaret Hall or Tabaret Park, like garden, right in front of it, is like it's a pretty big little nice communal area where you can sit and like walk your dog, play soccer with your boys, and essentially like because of the restrictions we had in art school, your project was in like a 2 by 2 room, something like that,
yeah,
and so it was limited by the simple fact that you only had the students showing up in the class be the only participants in the show, or
yeah.
in the work, right? But if you were to take a bunch of balloons and fill a whole park, right? Not a big park, but fill a park with balloons and then tell people at the entrance grab a pencil and stab. I think it would actually be pretty cool. As in,
To be honest, I don't know if I would do a park because a wide open space doesn't will never get filled with like
mm,
amounts like a large amount of one object. It would never feel like anxiety driven, where it's a little bit claustrophobic, things are everywhere around you.
mm,
I would do the Steel Cabaret Hall but you know where the main entrance you go in and there's the circular area right before the staircase?
Mm. So like a little
Yeah.
round table sort of circular.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very circular hall. It's a very circular hall, and there's stairs leading up. And then from the upstairs, you can look down directly down those floors. I would fill the bottom floor with that.
Oh.
That would be fun.
Would you? Well, let me ask you this: would you ever incorporate that like disruptive factor, fun factor with food also?
I don't feel like food is very satisfying to destroy. I mean, food is very satisfying to just like eat.
Mm.
Like something you say destruction and food, the first thing that comes into my mind would be like the idea of eating something very messy, very sloppy without utensils and absolutely breaking it apart.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
It would be something more akin to that, but I don't know how willing an audience would be participating in that because then you get dirty, you get messy, and then
It-
What are you guys talking about?
Hey, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Black Star.
What's up, Anubis?
So this is our artist talk for the week.
Ah.
And
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, this is Black Star is a Metakey member. If you have any
Yes.
questions towards Lily, she's the artist for this artist talk today.
Is this live recorded or am I?
So, well, it's being streamed to YouTube right now, just because.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Usually I would record these and then post them up on YouTube, but some stuff happened this week to where it's just easier to stream it for this week. So.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, just I thought that it was about art because there was no other way where destroying food or eating it in an uncommon manner would yeah, would give any kind of, I don't know, value to a community other than art.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
welcome to the art talks.
You're welcome.
That's how we
Thank
come
you,
up
yeah,
with our interactive ideas.
Yes, yeah, I'm also very interested in art myself, especially crypto art, of course.
Mhm.
And also my local town, somewhat active, but I'm not an artist myself. I'm very good at judging others and interpret their doings and everything. Yeah, art is very, very interesting indeed.
It's great. There is so many paintings and works that Lily has done that people have not seen. It's
So crypto art.
so well that
I'm not.
that was actually gonna lead me to my next and one of my final questions.
Oh boy.
Lily, were you ever thinking of dipping your? I know you've tried to dip your toes into crypto in general, a few months ago or like a year ago. But do you think you're gonna mess around with crypto art at all, NFTs or anything like that?
Maybe. I mean, the whole thing is still very confusing to me right now. So I'm just like, what is happening?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it can be. I mean, like, Damien Hirst has joined the space, so I
Whenever you say Damien Hirst, and all I think in my mind is just a catchphrase of Damien Hirst is the Damien worst. I'm just like, oh man.
It's because it's true. He is the guy is not an I will literally this is a mountain I will die on. Damien Hirst is not a good artist. Like I literally told this to somebody on Twitter yesterday. I was like, if I wanted to buy something by his assistants, I would just go directly to his assistants instead of him. You know?
I mean, people buy for a title sometimes.
Well, I know, but it's
That's
like,
how it is.
come on, like you can get Damien. Come on, Damien Hirst.
Remember what we discussed about before? That value is in the
You know,
eye
it's
of the
true.
buyer.
It's true. Value is in the eye of the buyer. But I will still Damien Hirst is Damien Worst always. This um, it's a running gag in the art world that Damien Hirst is not a good artist. It's I like
Is it the art world, or is it just like mainly our art history teachers?
no. I think it. I mean, like I think it's actually the whole art world.
Hmm.
I'm not even kidding. Like I googled Damien Hirst something, and then all I could see was like Kevin Bosch tells Damien Hirst to like shut up with his factory of artists, and like 10 million or 100 million titanium skull sale, and I was like, damn, even Kevin
Oh,
Bosch is going for you, bro.
oh.
And it's, I mean, like within the crypto art scene, right? It's very heavy on like transparency and honesty, right? In such a way where it's like, you know, people care about the artists, right? And if they find out like you have a team, right? Their first question is like, are you paying your team well?
Yeah.
And if they find out the team is not being paid well, you're dead. You're dead in the water. Like, um, but
What
Lily,
are the other things? Oh, sorry.
no, no.
Continue, continue.
I
I
w-
was. My brain went into what isn't things like art. So you were saying video games
mm,
wouldn't ever be counted as art. Who would you think? Like, I know we both play a lot of games.
mm.
Who would you think, or what company creation would you think it would be closest to art?
So funny enough, I wrote a thing. I literally wrote here. I will repost it. I literally just wrote about this. That was last week's artist breakdown. So I don't like, there are games that get really close to art. Um I think like the closest one in pure aesthetic value is something like Journey, right?
Mm.
Um and then in interaction, and storytelling and thematic, it's like it's Bloodborne and Witcher 3. Just because Bloodborne, the way that world is built is actually insane, to where I can it holds true on its own, right? And a lot of painters and a lot of artists try to establish their own world, and it never holds up. And it's so hard to do that in a video game, and then here comes this thing that draws from like HP Lovecraft, like insane fine art themes. And then so there's that. But I actually here, the NFT doesn't work anymore, so I can't send it to you guys. But I was stoned out of my mind at 1:30 in the morning.
As you do.
As yes, as that's how I used to write my university essays every time I
I
saw.
remember.
And I was scrolling through Hicketnunk, which is an NFT website, and I hit the interactive tab, and I I found this thing that said backroom, level 3 or sub level 3, and I was like, okay, I'll click on it, and then it was like use WASD to move, um, and space to zoom in, and then I started walking forward. I turned to the left or to the right, and then I turned back, and the wall had fucking changed, and it freaked the living shit out of me. I was like, okay, cool. What the fuck am I in? Is this a shroom strip, right? Because it's like I got to talk to the developer after, and there is a video game element to it. Like there are levels, there are messages um in the actual NFT itself that you need to decode to like solve it. But I'm an artist, right? And I care about the feelings, not I don't care about the mechanics really. And like we struggle, right? Like you in your work, eating together, right? And like that sense of eating the dumplings together brought us all together, and it actually filled us with a happy feeling, right? We were laughing, we were talking, and one of our discussions, like a lot of the discussions we would have with our professors, is like, man, how do I make the viewer feel something? And every time the professors would be like, you sort of can't. It's up to the viewer, right? You can sort of initiate the feeling and like try to tell them this painting is supposed to make you feel nice, but if they're personally not gonna enjoy it, they can't. And then in my thing is like I really like cosmic horror, and I remember talking to Martin about cosmic horror, and he's like, man, like you really just want to scare people, and I'm like, not really. Like, no, I just like it would be nice to have a painting that makes you feel the same fear you feel on a shroom strip, but that's me. And he's like, you can't, and he always went like, that's impossible. and then I stared at this NFT for like a solid 30 minutes, feeling exactly like I'm in a shroom strip, and I was like, okay, this is art. Because because like in video games, I mean, like most video games have an end goal, right?
Hmm.
And for example, like you can always boot up an old school video game, right? And you can explore like Assassin's Creed Revelations, if you have the CD, but the world is limited, right? The world is set there by the developers, and then for the open world games, right? They're open world, but also it's still limited. But this NFT, because the walls change every time you look away, is practically infinite in its like level design,
Yep.
right? And then therefore it's infinite in its like conceptuality and theory, and then infinite in its horror inducing ways. And so I was just like sitting there, I'm like, oh fuck, this is insane. Because it's like a pocket experience in a video game. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think I see what you're getting at.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I. What do you think? What about you, Lily? I talked there for a while about video games. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, my answer is very, like, for me it depends on the genre. Like,
Mm.
certain video games, what do you think, like, what separates like an interactive AR experience that's in a studio or in a gallery to like a very profound video games that make you actually feel something?
I.
What, like, you pay you pay the gallery to get in to go view it, you buy the video game, you experience it. One might take longer than the other, and it's, I don't really see what separates it that much, except maybe when you go to the gallery you put on something nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's true.
I mean, I wouldn't say like a video game like, fuck it, let's say League of Legends or something like
yeah.
that is art. I wouldn't say that's art. That's like mainly for entertainment. But something with a nice storyline, would I call it art, or
Mm.
can I call it literature? Like,
Well, I mean, isn't literature art though?
yeah, but like you don't really see
That's
like
true. No, I see what you
literature
mean.
like in like a white space, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Uh, that's actually a really good question, because the way I had thought about it is we will see a clear separation from like the video game, like the video gamey, you know, fetch quest video games, right? And then the video games that are fully meant to make you think, right? And then it's actually interesting you say that, because it's like I actually, I agree with you on there. Like the more I think about it, because it's like in games like Heavy Rain or um, Detroit Become Human, um, the like the critique that you would find, like the heavy-handed cultural critique that you would find in an art piece, is still present in the video
Yeah.
game, and
I mean,
I think if yeah no go ahead, sorry.
oh yeah, like we were talking, like this ties in about what we were talking about mediums before. Like, would you say coding can just be another medium for art?
Well,
Mm?
so so that's why I was asking you about the digital space, because a lot of coders have joined the NFT art space, because you can just code your artwork into being, right? You don't.
Yeah.
And because like before, you would have to get lucky enough that a museum is interested into your generative code, right? Or your coding to be like, okay, cool, you're validated, we will give you money. But
Yeah.
then in this space, like you can actually, you can code a lot of the generative projects. Like
Yeah.
if you look at my profile, that little top hat dude, that's all generated by code completely.
It,
And so yeah, actually, damn.
To answer your question,
Mm.
Miss, I don't know what's the name again.
Lily.
Yes. Because you asked for a specific game that you could consider art.
Mm.
I have a suggestion. From my perspective, it is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. Probably nobody played it,
I
but
have. Mm,
it has the best soundtrack. It has the best character writing, development, storyline, and it has the best gameplay mechanics
mm.
all in one. And it
Was
is
there?
the best of DS games. So it's the DS games.
I know Pokemon tends to come in pairs. Was there like an Explorers of Time or something like that?
Yes.
I played that one. I didn't
Yes.
play the Sky one. I played the Time one.
Well,
Time and Darkness were
Mm.
like the the two pairs that got out, and Sky came, I think, 1 year after that. It's like Platinum, Diamond and Pearl, and then Platinum came, or Ruby and Sapphire, and then Emerald as the third one. And Sky basically um, it has all the things that Darkness and Time has, but a lot of additions and a lot of things got better. So
Mm.
it is regarded as the best out of the three in this micro community of people who are still attached, emotionally attached to this game. Because when you have a work, when you created a work, or when you experience someone else's work, and sometimes it can very much resonate with your inner
mm,
with your soul. Kind of it touches your soul in a way that um in a way of understanding, in a way of transforming, and um in a way of empathy, in very different ways. And um you can change someone else's life
mm.
with a piece of art.
Hmm.
And that is what art essentially is. Um, and art has different forms. Yeah, like I said, could be a video game, but it could also be a painting. But I think that a painting has not so much impact because it has it is very limited, and it can't speak, or it can't give away sound. So
Mhm.
only the sense of seeing is occupied when observing.
I see.
So
Um,
in a game, a lot of your senses um, are paying attention at once, and something. Sometimes you have to figure things out. Sometimes games are hard. Sometimes you have to grind,
mhm.
and you are grinding inside a setting of adventure, of struggle, of companionship. It depends on the story. So that's my that are my thoughts.
Eh.
I like. I mean, what you say is interesting, especially the census part, because also like video games um do deal with some senses, and then that got me thinking of how like Lily, some of your work is interactive in the same way where as a video game, right, where you have to go there, deal with people, talk to people, but then it starts to act on the stuff that you can't experience digitally at all, which is smell and taste,
Mhm.
right? Because you say like like that's also another factor that it's like until maybe in the future we get a way to digitally taste something, which I doubt is a thing ever, you
Hmm.
know. Like that's one element like in your work that's that's pretty unique that I think like I don't know how you'd be able to translate that into video games because we have a lot of video game themed food themed video games, right? But
Hmm.
to experience the food itself, right? Like
Mhm.
taste wise is also somewhat different than to experience the food digitally, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's another thing to think about too.
I mean, that also comes in with the idea of nostalgia, right?
Mm.
Like, I tend to watch a lot of YouTubes about food and things like that, but when I see something that's very nostalgic, and I know exactly what they're making, exactly how they're making it. Things like that, I can get a sense of like this taste
Mhm.
in the back of my mind, and that brings apart sort of memory of nostalgia. But what I want to talk about, like what you said, Blackstar, of the idea of like how humans feel empathy and how that triggers something when we see art. I think that's very interesting because, like, I don't know, I'm going back into the fundamental idea of what makes us human, why we feel possessions in art, and that's just a loop in my brain. But yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it really is. It is simple. I try to put it in simple words. Art is the projection of empathy,
Mhm.
and the level of empathy projected resonates with the same level of the observer
Mhm.
who receives it,
yeah,
and that's how someone determines good art. So you see something, and you have the empathy to gain the understanding of the projected empathy of the one who made it.
Mhm.
And yeah, there are
see,
people there are people, there are human beings who are not capable of they lack a sense of empathy.
Mhm.
Question is, are they able to create art? Are they able to understand art? But that's a question that's do they have the need of making art?
Mhm.
hmm,
And I mean, we also like we're also talking about a fairly new medium, right? That we assume that the same art collectors are always going to be there, and that's not simply the case, right? At some point,
hmm,
we're going to be old enough to where it's like to bring back nostalgia. Like one of my favorite one of like the images that brings nostalgia like immediately into my brain is Astro Boy, right? I see a thing of Astro Boy, I like it immediately, like not even a question. And so say like what are like as art collectors also grow, right? And the young ones get older, like we will see, we might see like complete acceptance of video games because now these 50 60 year old guys are fully appreciating the video games of their young as art, and they're in the position to actually like legitimize it, as art. Does that make sense?
yeah. You know what I'm gonna put out there as just like a shot in the dark?
What? Do it. Do it.
Uh,
Shoot your shot. Shoot it.
Jesus. um, you Animal Crossing New Horizons. That I feel like in the future, when people look back on what is important, what is art, what video game can consider being art, because of the fact that it helped so many people out through the pandemic,
Mm.
that might be one of the things that will be considered. But as well as when you look back into art history, what was considered art? You see these paintings of the kings and queens, and then historical documentations. Everything
Mm.
plays a factor on history, and things evolve from that. So, who determines, again, value is in the
And I.
eye of the buyer,
Mm-hmm.
but like who determines art is the people who receive and judge and evaluate them.
Mm.
So I don't see why, video games can't be, or eventually I think video games will be
I
considered art.
I agree. I
Is,
mean, I
is Animal
mm. Go ahead.
is Animal Crossing is this the one for the Switch?
Yeah, 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 the one where everyone wanted to buy it and then the price went hella high.
I think I bought it for my sister.
Eh,
I
Yeah, my sister played Animal Crossing on the DS and
mm.
also on the Wii.
yep.
And then I went into a gaming store and then I just bought stuff. And then I bought two Switches and I bought also Animal Crossing and she's playing it right now. I like how they uh, I don't know if it's true, but they have a limitation on
Mm.
how many things you can do in game.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, they
when
do.
yeah,
Uh,
in a specific time, after a specific time, there's nothing to do anymore. So you have to wait until one day later.
Yeah, because there's daily events and things like that. But like,
Yeah.
you can only, the things that they don't put limits on is like, hey, you can go fishing forever, you can catch
okay.
bugs forever. But like, there's also the certain amount of bugs that you can get, and you fill out a dex and things like that. It's
Well,
very
no.
cathartic, which is what people needed at the time during like
Yeah.
I
a
would,
fucking global pandemic.
I would also add Minecraft
Yeah.
up there. I mean,
Hmm.
Minecraft is like I legitimately this is me shooting my shot, right? I
Mhm.
legitimately believe that like really it's memes. I remember when memes became a thing, right? Like everybody here, we're all old enough to first literally remember like the me gusta face when it first showed up, right?
Yes.
And that's matured enough so fast that I really do believe that in 40, 50 years, a lot of the stuff that we, or at least the older generation, doesn't consider art, that we consider sort of artistic, is completely valid because we're going to be the ones in control, right, of the narrative. Like, as we get older, we're just going to be, we're going to be the ones who'll be like, yeah, I remember this is good, this is bad. And I really hope, like, one day, like, maybe, like, a fucking Minecraft thing gets sold for, like, $10 million or something. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. This is
It-
When they turn it into an NFT.
I mean, somebody's already selling Minecraft maps as NFTs.
Yeah.
Like, and
That's
it's
what
like,
yeah,
and
that's what I had in mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
no,
Oh no, I was just like, I did not realize that. I'm not very.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
like,
know much in the NFT market and things
ima-
like that.
well,
Okay.
Lily, if you are interested, I will walk you through it on a later day. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you the NFT crash course. It's a big information dump, but it's fun.
When I come visit you in Montreal.
Yo, do it. Come in Montreal. It's actually that's what
Listen, Martin is very like excited and down for their trip to Montreal with everyone. It'd be fun.
like that's one thing I also wanted to do for the Metakey members is to actually like have an in-group meeting
It'd be
where
fun.
Ooh.
right, and then whoever, like, if a Montreal member can, like, if anybody in Montreal from the Metakey members can, like, they can come and listen, and if not, it's like it would be like a nice, it would be nice to like actually give the members of the Metakey Discord like a nice video of like, you know, the artists actually talking next to each other, and then we can like walk around and like show people like the city or something, because we are artists, right? We have, I got to see an Egon Sheila in Montreal, Lily.
What?
Yeah. um so Black Star, you said you were German, yes?
Yes.
I don't know if you know this artist, but well, Egon Sheila is not German, but there was I got to see a Georg Baselitz print.
Nope.
um so he's a neo-German expressionist painter. um but yeah, no, just we we
No, I don't.
me and Lily we had an art history course where both of us, I think both of us, you chose Kiefer, right, Lily?
Yes. Yes.
And
Right?
yeah, and our professor did not like that at all. Yeah, we had some really weird professors. Um,
It was fun.
So you guys know each other in person.
yeah,
Yeah.
we went to
Ah.
university together. We were the same graduating class.
Ah. Yeah, I'm still in university.
Oh yeah.
Not really paying attention.
I
I'm
mean,
busy managing scholars.
oh, well,
Yeah.
here let me end the artist talk here, and then we can talk afterwards.
Yeah.
But
We're
here,
kind of going off topic
Yeah.
again.
to those who are listening to the artist talk, thank you, and thank you to Black Star for your insightful comments. They were actually pretty interesting. And
Thanks.
Lily, thank you for your art and for being here. Yeah, thank you for your art.
Wow, my presence is a gift. What the heck? Ew.
And, so just if you can, because of everybody I talk to, they have like an official website and everything, and they're like their link trees. I actually don't know if you have an official website, so just send me that.
Nah, I got too lazy in making it. Just link my Instagram.
All right, so to the listeners, Instagram will be in the description, and we will see you guys next